Welcome, listeners, to already the 5th edition of the B2B Influencer Marketing Chat Series. My name is Mariska Kestelo and I am the founder of Word of Mice. And this podcast, these series are all about B2B influencer marketing. And today we have, of course, another exciting host, which is Keith Jenkins. He's the founder of iambassador. Today we're going to talk about travel influencers, travel bloggers, travel vloggers, and what our industry, the meetings and events industry, can learn from the travel industry. Keith, great to have you in our show. Welcome. Would you like to tell a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Keith Jenkins, and I'm a travel blogger. My blog is Velvet Escape. You can visit me at velvetescape.com.
This is not a promotional talk, Keith.
I need traffic. And next to that, I'm also the founder of iambassador, which is a network of professional travel bloggers, content creators around the world, and we work a lot with the travel and tourism industry with DMOs and also a lot of brands for marketing campaigns and a lot of different things. And we also do a lot in education. So we organize events, conferences, and all that to develop influencer marketing and just create some really good networking sessions. And that's basically what we do at iambassador.
Okay, perfect. So thank you. So today the topic is all about, I would say, travel influencers and MICE influencers. And therefore I invited, of course, Keith, because you founded your company already in 2008. So that means already like 12 years experience in the field. We have a lot of questions. So I would say, can you explain, because the question that we receive from the meetings and events point of view, we receive a lot of questions. Can you explain what travel influencers have exactly done for clients? I would say in a normal world, so before COVID-19.
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, travel influencers. Well, let's get rid of the word influencer for now. I never liked that word. I always like to talk about travel bloggers or content creators because, so what they do is obviously they travel the world and they provide their perspective on whatever they experience from their own perspective, and so they create content from a personal perspective. They build an audience, so an audience that can relate to the way these bloggers travel, and they build relationships. They build a certain amount of trust with their audience, and basically they're just sharing their travel experiences by providing inspiration to travel, by providing travel tips, destinations, where to go, what to do, where to eat, what to see, etc. Mm-hmm. And the thing that drives it, I think the thing that really adds value is that trust relationship they have with their audience, which has a lot of benefits in terms of engagement, for instance, mm-hmm. but also in conversions. And I think this is one of the things that travel bloggers really excel in, content creation, number one, so that which makes it possible for them to market a destination or an activity or a brand, but also to drive conversions. Mm-hmm. I think so. It's content creation and driving conversions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think that's very, very important what you said, because I think every week we have a talk, and trust is actually the red line, which has been talked, I would say, a lot about. Yeah. Bless you. I don't know who that was. Okay. The travel industry has been hit really, really hard, of course, by COVID-19. How can you see that your community of content creators and bloggers, how have they responded towards this? I would say, this reaction, this happening, because you can't travel, we're all stuck at home. So can you explain a little bit how they have changed their business, what they've done exactly, or what you as a founder also have done to support the community?
Well, I mean, in the first couple of weeks, I think everyone was in shock. I think
Yeah.
the first thing they noticed was the traffic just absolutely planked. It just crashed. And obviously, you know, people are not searching for travel anymore and all that, so your traffic goes down, which has a big impact on a blogger's earnings, because many bloggers, including myself, earn part of our income comes from advertising.
Yeah.
So the ads on blogs, and so with diminishing traffic comes diminishing income from ads. Next to that, because no one's traveling and it's not possible to travel, a lot of the brands and tourism boards stopped all campaigns. So whether it's social media campaigns or, you know, whatever campaigns, blog trips, blah blah blah, everything canceled or delayed, postponed. So that was another income stream gone. So so everyone was in shock, and I think, you know, in the beginning everyone was like, oh, okay, what do we do now? And everyone's just sitting on their couch, you know, just getting drunk on wine and crying and all that. And then after a while, because we've been in this situation now for the past few months, I think people have started to come up with ideas. You know, they've kind of like gotten themselves back together,
Yeah.
and come up with different initiatives. And what I've seen in the past couple of weeks have been, you know, it's been really exciting. There are bloggers who, I mean, first and foremost, I see a lot of bloggers supporting each other. So there are bloggers coming up with initiatives whereby they are creating new products. There are bloggers that have kind of like added products to what they already do. In terms of, for instance, they're creating courses, online courses. They're selling books. They are one even created a book club where people can subscribe to join the book club and just talk about travel and talk about books and travel. There, other bloggers have just bundled some of the products together, which come from different sources. And then this group of bloggers help to market and sell these products, and everyone gets commissions. There are so many different things going on, and even also as bloggers who are great photographers using their photography to create new products as well. So, and I see a lot of bloggers. You know, one blogger creates his product and puts it out there, and asks other bloggers to help promote it, and then the other bloggers are all promoting it to their audiences. So I see a lot of support for each other going on, which is really, really inspiring. Yeah, and what I also see is, you know, a lot of bloggers helping local businesses in their own communities by, you know, I mean, they have their social media channels, right? So might as well put it to good use. So they've been helping local businesses a lot, like restaurants and all that. Like, hey, these are the restaurants where you can, you know, go get a takeaway or whatever. And one initiative which I thought was just amazing was Adopt a Hostel. It was by a blogger, Cash Bhattacharya from Budget Traveler. So what he did was he got a couple of hostels to sign on for this program, whereby people, the consumers, can purchase a voucher, right, to support these hostels, and it just exploded once the big hostel companies got on board as well. And they were actually on National Geographic Traveler just last week, or something like that. And I think they've already passed $50,000 US.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, and such a cool initiative, and which really, you know, inspired a lot of people, and a lot of hostels have since signed up for this program. Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, great. Well, it's really nice to hear how the community of bloggers, because they are content creators, they are creative people, how they have used, first of all, to support each other and to support the community. In our industry, I would say, unfortunately, I would say the suppliers are still very reluctant to work with bloggers, content creators, or influeers, the name you can put on. If I hear what the bloggers and content creators have done before COVID and also during these times, I think only our industry can, I would say, can get so much support from this community. How do you think that you can convince, with all your experience as 12 years working as a blogger yourself, how do you think you can convince what our industry can do to, I would say, to embrace influencer marketing?
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions? Because if I hear, because
Yeah,
these initiatives like the vouchers, we could also do that in our industry.
exactly.
I haven't
You
seen it. I've
should.
seen it. Yeah, you should. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean, there are some convention bureaus here on the call as well. We're focusing more on the meetings and events industry, and I think it's a pity that I see some creative initiatives, but I think we can do so much. Obviously, we can do so much more, and especially what you said also in the beginning is the trust factor.
yeah,
People follow influence because they trust, and I think that's something that, especially in our industry, if you bring people together from different countries, like we talked before on the call, with all the restrictions and how travel and meeting each other will look like, we don't know how the new normal will look like, and I think their influencers can play a crucial role in this process by being transparent, sharing their experiences and so on. But how do you think, because also in the beginning it was not easy to start your company.
no, no, no. That it took quite a while, and right from the start, my priorities were always to reach out to the tourism industry and demonstrate. So come up with my own initiatives, by creating content, by demonstrating that I can convert, demonstrating that I have good engagement. And I think all the bloggers have done that. I think something I did differently was that I was actually going to conferences and trade fairs and talking about making all these case studies from the work that I'm doing and presenting it to the tourism industry. I think my first really big talk was at ITB. I think it was in 2011 or 10, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that was probably one of the first times that someone was stood up on the big stage at ITB and talked about travel bloggers. And so, I think you have to start from there. Come up with ideas yourself, implement these ideas and make these case studies and present it to the tourism industry. Like, look, I think I can bring a lot of value to the table. And I think can we sit down, have a chat and discuss and see how we can move forward together. And I think, once you've established that relationship, once you can show your value, and even if you start out small with a small collaboration, which is also what we did, because, if it's a new thing, your potential clients may not want to jump into whatever you're collaborate with you in a big way, for the first time. They would want to start out small and see how that goes and use it as a pilot, and so I think that's the way to go, and that's how we've done it. And then you build from there as you go along. And it's a very exciting time in the sense that I used to call it the Wild West, because you're a bunch of bloggers and everyone's doing their own thing, and you're trying to get everyone to be on the same page, but it's almost impossible, because each of these bloggers, you have to see them as individual, not only as individuals, but individual companies as well, with their own thoughts on how they should develop their business, etc. So everyone's doing their own different thing. So it's important to engage not only with the industry, but also with your own community of influencers or bloggers, and to make sure that everyone's on board and, doing things in a professional way, coming up with codes of ethics, stuff like that, and making sure that they behave professionally as well. Those are really, really important things.
Yeah, because we're talking about also the code of ethics. You organize every year a conference where you also discuss, I would say, these important topics like code of ethics, how to work with brands. I attended your conference last September, where you also talk about how to bridge the gap, which I between the convention bureaus and the bloggers. I was really surprised, because I thought in the travel industry you are much way ahead than I would say in the meetings and events industry. But I was surprised that there is also still a huge gap of understanding each other. The influence. I mean, the convention. You both want to move forward, but they're not always talking. I would say they're not always talking the same language. If I would say they want to go to the same purpose, but they don't talk the same language.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I've been in the business now for 10 years, and going to conferences and trade fairs every year, and we're still, there's still so much more to do. And so it's a never-ending. I wouldn't call it a struggle, but it's a never-ending exercise of education, of talking, discussing. How can we move forward together, and that never stops. Things change all the time. When for instance, we were a group of us, we were talking a lot about bloggers and all that. And then when influencer marketing started really exploding, and you got all these Instagrammers coming on board, and a lot of them were doing really horrific things. and then that kind of like reflected on the bloggers as well, which I thought was really bad, because that was not the case at all. People just like to generalize, and all of a sudden, bloggers, Instagrammers, they're all influencers, and they're all doing stupid things. And in certain tourism boards were very cautious, started becoming very cautious about working with influencers. And so then you have to go back to the drawing board and like, okay, how do we differentiate ourselves from the others? What is it that we're doing that makes us stand out from the crowd? And so this conversation keeps going, it keeps evolving, changing, and you always have to be part of that conversation.
Well, I'm happy that you're saying it, because sometimes I'm already working on this project, I would say, for 4 years of bringing influencers towards the industry, and I also have the feeling that I need to repeat the message. But even if I hear you're working more almost for 10 years, and you say that it's also still I would say repeating and contributing to the importance of influencer, and that it's all about education, not only education towards the influencer, but also educating towards the client side, because it's
both sides.
Both sides. Yeah. So
the best thing that you can do is always showcase best practices, the successful case studies, demonstrate your value and put it out there. And so because it not only shows your clients or the industry, the great stuff that you're doing or can do, but you're also showing the bloggers in your community about what can be done. And this is the direction that we should be taking. So, showcase best practices in case studies.
Well, that's a very good point, because also a lot of clients are asking, what can influencers do for our destination? So therefore I asked you in the beginning of this interview, so what do influencers do? Because a lot of people don't have, not always have a concrete idea. They only think that they are taking one picture and then go to another hotel. Well, there is much more involved on a strategic level.
Oh, absolutely. And talking about strategic level, I think a misconception among a lot of people is that working with influencers, I would say working with bloggers, content creators, one of the biggest values of working with them, especially if they have their own blogs, is longevity. You publish a blog post and it gets indexed by Google, and it's searchable, and it's so different than just putting a photo up on Instagram and within 15 minutes people are not looking at it anymore, or maybe if they look at it and the time on screen, just seeing that photo is a split second on Instagram, while time on screen on a blog post, we're talking about 5, maybe 10, 15 minutes. So, there's a huge difference there. And I think that, that adds so much value. I still, on my blog, articles from 10 years ago, 10 years ago, are still pulling in traffic. One of my articles, I was just checking it this morning, which I published in 2011, is still ranking high up in the Google search rankings for the search term that I'm targeting. So, and it's still bringing in a lot of traffic. So I think, that is just gold, when something that you produced like 10 years ago and you maintain it, you update it, it's still bringing in traffic and it can still convert. I have how I see my conversions. Obviously, I have affiliate links in my articles, so I can see how many people have actually clicked from the article to the platform. How many bookings have been made, where these people come from, and all that. And that's really, it's not only the conversion, but I'm also able to show where these people are coming from, making these bookings and what they're looking for. So much value in there. And I think, it's just a matter of finding a good way to harness that value and put it on a plate and, sell it to the industry.
Yeah, but there you also have you mentioned two important things, which is first the strategy, because we B2C and B2B influencers, despite if it's a long or short-term campaign, it needs to, I would say, align with the current strategy.
Sure.
And the second of all is the data. And I see now, luckily, being more online, of course, people don't see each other, so I think finally, I'm just generalizing, excuse me for the convention bros who are here on the call, also gain now more interest to get all these data about their target audience, because they can't see them now always face to face. So it's very important to know what are my clients searching for. So I think it's two very important things: data about your target audience, or about the audience in general that visiting your website or your blog, and the second of all is also about the strategy, of course. How can a blog can be aligned? But I remembered also visiting your conference that in Ravenna you created a house for bloggers, and that after 5 years, I remembered so well that the graphic, that statistics that were showed, that after 5 years, finally it was picked up and it was ranking amazingly high in Google. If people would go on Ravenna, they will come up on the blogs from the blogger's house. So I found this really interesting, because it is sometimes very difficult to convince people to work on a long term with influencers. But like you said, 5 years, it's taking a long time before it really was picked up by Google.
Well, it depends. I guess it depends on the strength of your blog, how Google views your blog. Some articles can be picked up. All articles are indexed almost immediately, but how they move up in the rankings really depends on how strong your blog is. So there are some bloggers out there who can start ranking well already within a space of 5 to 6 months or even less. Blogs like mine might take a couple of years. But sometimes it takes longer. But I think there's working with content creators, bloggers. There's great value on the long run, but there's also great value in the short term. And in the short term, on our side, on the B2C side, obviously, then you're talking about the social media coverage we can provide. Then you're talking about the content which we can deliver to the clients. Our clients are always interested in getting content, whether it's copy or photos or videos, etc. These are things that we can deliver on a short term. Social media coverage, driving engagement, driving awareness. This is something that we can do on a short term as well. So when you're working with a client, and that's why working with Emilia Romagna, which we've been doing for the past 8 years now, or 9 years, is great, because every year for those 8 or 9 years we've been doing campaigns together, all sorts of different projects. And we have all the data, we have it. And so it's easy for us to analyze that data and actually show them, like, look, this is the short term and this is the long term. We can measure what we've been doing for the past 8 years. And and that's really, really valuable stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that you're working with clients to show your data, to show who is, to know who is in your network. So I think these are very good, I would say, very good suggestions.
Be very interested to venture out into nature after being stuck at home for so long.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We can only imagine to travel again, especially for the Italians, and I think also Miek is in Monaco. I know perhaps also from Spain there were, go outside for the first time.
Exactly. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm thinking of is, like, you have different wine routes in in Europe, is to really promote that. Either you're on a bicycle or you go for a hike through the wine route, and just perfect. You've got nature, you've got wine and food, and you're outdoors. And
no car, which is also quite important.
Exactly, yeah. So I think it's absolutely perfect. And after being stuck at home for like 2 or 3 months, this is the perfect thing to do.
Where people perhaps already started to be drinking a bit more, so they can be a bit more resistant, perhaps.
Yeah. And and I think the tone of voice, as you said, that's going to be really crucial. And also the experiences you choose to promote, that's going to be very important as well.
Yeah. So, but can you also, because you mentioned Austria and Germany, as I would say, as a convention bureau, but those are the general ones. Can you also name, I would say, one destination or convention bureau who's really, I would say, standing out from the market? Who do you see as now? I mean, now in these times as a market leader?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
or an inspiring example. I'm not saying market leader, perhaps it's not the right word, but
I mean, there are a lot of tourism boards, convention bureaus who are doing a great job with digital marketing and influencer marketing specifically. I mentioned Germany, Britain as well. Talking about regions, you're talking about Costa Brava in Spain. Emilia-Romagna, obviously, in Italy.
And what about the Faroe Islands, which I found in a very inspiring example, where you can book digital tours with local guides, and they transformed that this week, because normally it's IMEX in Frankfurt and the ITB for the meetings and events, where you can also book virtual site inspections for venues. I found that also brilliantly done.
Yeah.
I found the Faroe Islands for the MICE point of view. I found that something that really, from a destination point of view, it really stands out from the market, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Faroe Islands always has this brilliant ideas. There's also one tourism board. They had the Google camera on the sheep's head, right?
Yeah.
And that's the sheep view. That's right. And then they had the other one where they closed down the island. Remember that? And just brought in a couple of people to experience, what it's like with no tourists or something like that. So, I mean, they come up with brilliant stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, there is a lot of inspiration during these times. So for influencers. So I'm very happy, and I'm very happy that you're also positive towards the future, because I think, especially for the B2B market, I think influencer marketing in general can only grow, because we need that trust and that inspiration, I would say, to continue, because as we less travel, we want to follow people who are professionally consistent, who continue the communication during this difficult time. So I think influencers, professionals, and the bloggers and content creators will only play a bigger role in now and in the near future.
Yeah, and I think now is a really great time as well, because I mean, I think maybe, sometimes I think this crisis is a bit of a blessing in disguise, because it reminds me of, how I got started with blogging and with content marketing and with working with bloggers and tourism boards, that was right after the financial crisis, and it's only out during a crisis where people start to get creative, and they try out different things, and they're not afraid to try out something new, and come up with new initiatives, which may sound crazy or whatever. I'll just give it a try. There's no harm. Even if you fail, there's no harm anyway, right? So, and that's why I think, like, for you guys, but even for us as well. For us, it's a great opportunity to try out new things, and for you, it's a great opportunity to work with people you've never worked before.
Yes.
And
Indeed. Yeah, I think those are the beautiful words, because we have now 44 minutes, and normally we do 45 minutes. So if we can wrap up, so I think this is I would say a beautiful sentence to finalize the interview. So thank you so much, Keith, for your positive words, and
thanks for having me.
Picking your brain about more about the travel influencers. Alessia, thank you so much for your support, and also all the attendees. Thank you so much for your questions and for attending our call. Next week will be a very interesting one, where we talk about how to measure the success of your B2B influencer marketing campaign, and I think that will be a very interesting one, and it will be also, I think, sometimes a tough discussion, but that's also what we want to address. So next week, every week, Thursday at 3 p.m. and the link is already online, so you can register for free. So I hope to see you next week at 3 p.m. And for the rest, I wish you a lovely afternoon. See you, guys.
Bye bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.